What up, world? It's Eternal Authenticity broadcasting live. I'm out here walking the dog. It's another cold, chilly day, but guess what? It's alright because it's sunny. Shout out to Infinite Waters, y'all smart. Posted a video about the sunshine and the benefits of being in the sun, even though now we're walking in the shade. Give me a second. Girl. Oh, snap. Anyways, yeah, I'm out here with Fred, walking the dog. You know how it is. You know how we do. Consistency, consistency. Hey, maybe it's probably true. I probably will manifest my dreams sooner than I thought, you know, because of my consistency with this whole thing. You know how hard it is to like do consistent work producing, you know, when everybody else is focused on like mundane entertainment, you know. So I be coming up with some deep stuff too, for real. Like, especially when you go vegan, like it ain't no going back at all. And there's different levels, I guess, of being vegan, where you're coming from, with your type of approach towards veganism. Like, yeah, I met a bunch of different types of vegans, you know, like at these vegan festivals, vegan events, vegan meetups and stuff, online, whatever. And like, it's no discrimination, it's no, you know, like separation at all. It's just like, you know, we cater towards certain things. Like, I'm a huge Dr. Sebi supporter, and, you know, I learned a whole lot from him, to be honest. I've tuned into many of his seminars, you know, lectures, interviews, all that stuff for hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a mentor. That's you know, a a grandfather, godfather type of family vibe right there. You know, because we learn. You know what I'm saying? A whole lot about our health. So, you know, I applied a lot of the stuff he was sharing. You know, despite everybody, some people, you know, a little sprinkle of people were, you know, not really for him. You know what I'm saying? There's some haters, some criticism, nothing severe or anything, because I don't be putting that out there. You know, I don't be throwing that energy out there. That's why I get good energy. But I'm saying some people, like, you know, had their, you know, disbeliefs and opinions and doubts about Dr. Sebi. Not a whole lot, but just some I've come across have been like that, and some have been very supportive. So I've just been tuning into other people who share similar support levels, you know. So basically, it made sense to me because like I began this awakening. And one of my mentors got me into being vegan and stuff, and like he was talking about eating once a day, taking out the meat, taking out the dairy, going vegan, and then like, you know, eventually I stumbled across Dr. Sebi. You know, he was talking about Africa, ancient Egypt. Come on, hey, ancient Egypt and stuff. And, you know, it just made sense because I love tropical environments, being out in the sun, you know, exercise, water, herbs, healing, all that stuff. Cool. Thanks. Have a good day. Healing, water, you know, just simple stuff like that. Warm environments, fresh oxygen, you know, things like that. And like, you know, it just made sense. I started to connect the dots for certain stuff. I don't know everything. It's just that stuff made sense. I know for sure. And especially when you go on it, you start to see past the illusion. Especially when you first go vegan, you're like, you kind of see what's up. You know what I'm saying? You're like, okay, I get it. Gummy worms and gummy bears and, you know, these different like snacks and stuff, like these little chips and treats and, you know, honey buns and donuts and stuff like that. You realize, hey, guess what? That stuff doesn't grow straight from the soil. You know, like, yeah, okay, you can make a vegan donut or a vegan candy, vegan ice cream. That's cool, you know. At the same time, you know, man would have to tamper with it. And it's all right, especially if it's vegan. I'm accepting of all vegan food, to be honest with y'all. So long as it doesn't have no type of animal product in it, I'm cool. So I'm just letting y'all know that. It's just like I lean towards just raw, organic, natural foods the most because like that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like the islands. I haven't even been out to the islands in my life, you know, but guess what? I'm not out here thinking about having a, you know, a burger while I'm out swimming. You maybe a vegan burger possibly, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you think about mangoes, you think about dragon fruit, you think about, coconuts, you think about stuff like that, that's like fresh from Mother Earth, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, you just know it. It's already here before we got here or whatever. I don't care what nobody says, it just makes sense. There's some connection with nature that we're supposed to be enjoying it, consuming it. So that's that. Another thing is like, you know, it just makes sense to have that, to have nature, you know. That's why it's like we're living a karma free life, those of us that are vegan, because it's funny actually. So many people, like, it's flip flopped in this matrix. So many people like have so much talent or whatever, but yet they don't even realize it. And like they're rushing and racing around so fast, that like whenever a nerdy guy like me starts sharing some truth or whatever, like they might not think much of it, honestly, and like that's all right. I'm not even mad. People, the right people listen and appreciate what I have to share, but other people, this many are stuck in their ego, to be honest with y'all. And like I've been noticed this since I was born. I knew I was way different, because I'm like, yo, come on now. There's something going on in this world. I don't fit in, not on the left or right side. You know what I'm saying? Like typical programs, black and white. So I didn't fit in with that. And I'm like, hey, I'm coming in peace and I'm coming here just to be me. You know what I'm saying? Like good enough. I'm good enough. You know, done with all this stuff saying, oh, the skin color wars and separation and battles and stuff like that. Nah, we got to see things in equal eyes. And that's what veganism helped boost my confidence on, because quite honestly, there is a lot of division. Quite honestly, there are a lot of programs of separation and whatnot in effect. There's some things that are, unexplainable. That's why they say love is the ultimate truth, because it's true. There is a lot of stuff, you know, even slimy stuff going on in the world. And I'm not talking about a sewer. I'm talking about fishy stuff going on that we possibly don't even know about. About I'm not trying to get people fearful and scared and worried and paranoid, but I'm just saying, like, that's why I keep it real. That's why I'm all, I may not be a saint or perfect. None of y'all are, honestly. Nobody watching any of this stuff has a clean slate. Nobody on the whole planet has a clean slate. I don't care who you are. You can talk about, oh, this person is God, that person is God. I don't care. Some people be belittling their own self by putting other people on a pedestal, to be honest with y'all, and that's why I'm glad I'm liberated, because I was seeing it so much. So many people were actually being discriminating towards other people. Like, typically, a lot of so-called black people are honestly racist towards the rest of the people, and vice versa. Honestly, I feel like both sides of these man-made labels of black and white, these illusion labels, both sides are equally as racist as they talk about, to be honest with y'all. And I don't care what nobody thinks, to be honest, because it's true, honestly. I've encountered it on both sides, but I don't dwell on it and be a victim. I just stand out and be me, you know? The point I'm making is that, like, I'm good enough. I'm worthy as I am, honestly. The real ones, the true ones, accept me for who I am. And there's other people that who can share a similar energetic expression, and they're doing it big. They're older than me, like 10 years older than whatever. So it's possible. It's just like this matrix separates a whole lot of people, and it's like, in a way, as wild as it sounds, I'm actually glad too, because I've been able to be alone and be free. Because some of these people in this concrete jungle who have so much amazing talent and great potential, genetics or whatever, they, you know, they're foolish. Honestly, I'm not talking. I'm just keeping it 100% real. The same people who's into drugs and fast-paced, quick fix, drama, not getting it right, not being compassionate, all that type of stuff. Those are the same people who, you know, live in bondage. But me, on the other hand, I'm into herbs and love and life and nature and animals and everything. So that's why I'm free. And yeah, it did take me to be alone, honestly, for a long time. It's been hard to be real with y'all. I'm an only child. So I already know what it's like to be alone, but like, especially whenever everybody's in school, high school, college, we all start graduating, traveling, winding up in different places, different, things going on in our life, like I've had to be alone real hard, you know what I'm saying? Like love, life, relationship problems not working out. That made me be alone. Like, it showed me we truly do got to be alone no matter what, like sometimes the universe will help us. And it's a blessing too, because it's like, why would you want to force and be so needy around people? I know it sounds so simple, but I'm saying just from experience, like, it don't make sense. You see what's up. Like, you see that, hey, guess what? I don't need to be around I don't need someone else to complete me. I need to be complete first. And then, I can connect with other complete people as well. And we can add to each other's complete list, just like a jar of sprinkles. We're just adding sprinkles to each other's jar that's already full. That's kind of what it is. And like, I'm grateful for that. I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful to be living a karma-free life by being vegan. That's that. And I guess that's why they say the universe reveals the secrets to those who dare to follow their hearts. Because honestly, I've been wondering about a whole lot of explanations of stuff, to be real with y'all. And I'm coming in peace, straight peace. I'm a spiritual vessel, I'm universal. I'm gonna connect with all types of people. So that's why I don't limit myself by just sticking with black and white. Yes, there's resonance. And at the same time, who are you to try to discriminate someone because of their skin color? And that's honestly why there's been so much egotistical tension going on in the world, because people treat people differently based off of conditions, based off of skin color, based off of illusions before they even know somebody, And like, I've had to overcome all this stuff, because who are you to try to do that to someone? Do you want someone to get a paintbrush to paint their skin another color just to please you? No. Okay? That's the point I'm making. It don't make no sense at all. So we're supposed to be on this planet to accept, learn how to accept and understand one another, and to cooperate and work with one another. That's that. That's simple. That's why I'm glad I'm doing these YouTube videos, because guess what? When you go out sometimes in real life, you know, you got to really be a whole lot older or something. And, and even with that, it's still hard, because a lot of people, quite honestly, are too busy rushing and racing around. And they don't want to sit down and listen and cooperate and get on some universal one love type of stuff. They may be into this or that, and they may start laughing and, giggling and joking around, you know, not really taking what I'm saying, for real, in a grateful way, honestly. So I just love those that support and show gratitude truly, because that's what keeps this planet thriving, is gratitude and understanding and acceptance and, respect. So I'm all right though, because I don't feed into the hype. I don't feed into the drama, and that's why it's a drama-free channel, honestly. I'm living a drama-free life too, because I've been through a whole bunch of stuff, and it's common sense. None of y'all control me. None of y'all control me. Nobody has power to me. You don't scare me. You don't define me. You don't label me. You don't judge me. I'm a free sovereign being. Okay, I have as many equal rights as you. You don't have no power over me. Nobody has power over me. And it's we authentic squad. We got to remind ourselves that, for real. Okay, don't be scared by nobody at all. That's what this matrix tries to do. They try to give people weapons. They try to give people man-made labels. They try to give people all these material possessions and stuff. You know, imagine them in your mind. Them on the toilet seat, naked. Not in no creepy way, but I'm talking about, just being for real, honestly, because that's what this stage tries to do. It tries to get people scared and fearful, so that you're having a fear for your life, be on the edge of your seat, ready to run away or war or fight or something like that. When in actuality, all you here to do is just come in peace. So like, don't feed into no fights or wars or drama or anything. Just keep in mind in your head the truth. Real people, they can just come to you surrendered without any type of guard or defense mechanisms or any type of, restraint or any type of like force. Real people just, it flows like pure water, and it's peace, it's freedom, it's tranquility. All the other stuff is an illusion trying to play with your mind, for real. Stay away from environments that you honestly know you don't want to go to. And don't listen to, other people who's trying to make you feel bad for being sensitive, or feel bad for being an empath, or feel bad for being different, or feel bad for being a so-called nerd. You know what you truly love, what you truly desire for you, and that there's a lot of misinformation and stuff going on in the world, a lot of fishy stuff. And you're really waking up to see, hey, just because they're all doing it, it doesn't mean I have to. You know, that's why it's some real stuff. You got to really take time to like ponder about this stuff, because it's for real. People, it's strangers out here that will think that they know what's best for you. When in actuality, you look at their life, and guess what? You don't even want to be like them. I don't even want to be like them, so I'm not. I'm only staying plugged in and tuned in to those that inspire me, those that uplift me, those that support me, those that love me. It's that simple. Love over fear. It doesn't mean, 24/7, you just talking about fairy tales and, you know, unicorns and flowers and stuff. But at the same time, I'll say it's on a higher vibration, a love vibration, where you honestly probably are talking about a lot of great uplifting stuff. And at the same time, they can still keep it real, but it's like when they keep it real, it's not going to be stealing from you. It's only going to be stuff in your greatest interest. That's the point I'm making. They're allowing you to be a dove, a free dove from the cage. You know, you can come to get some water or whatever, and they'll have the water for you and some snacks or whatever. But they're not locking you in the cage because they love you. They give you a little kiss and you fly away to explore somewhere else. That's what real love, water relationship, whatever you want to call it, is. And I'm saying it here on camera because it's true. Like, honestly, when one of the relationships that didn't work out, I was pissed off, to be honest. But at the same time, I knew on a deeper level, we both have to take, you know, this time to really be grateful for each other and realize the bigger picture. When it is true love and we say, I love you, we share intimacy, romance, all these super deep, close secrets and stuff, vulnerability and whatnot. We're not out here to be exposing or disrespecting one another or creating drama and spreading rumors and just being petty. No, we're here to be real. We're here to respect it, allow the space, learn and move forward. And that's what I'm doing, because that's why relationships are some of the best teachers ever, because, like, it's a mirror, of stuff both sides can polish up and work on. Not just the man, not just the woman, both sides. That's what true love is. So maybe it does pan out into so called, a broader perspective of love, of just the basic. It's undefinable in a way. But the point I'm making is that, like, I learned how to let go and to be more open hearted, because I learned that, hey, I had never felt that type of love before, and it feels amazing and whatnot. And if we say we're friends and we love each other, this and that, and maybe some things didn't work out and it's still not working out, And the universe is just calling us to have space and to work on ourselves. And hey, I move forward. And guess what? I found new love. I have new love. And at the same time, I'm still not holding no grudges. I'm not holding nothing against it. I'm not having a heavy heart. I'm moving forward with the light heart in faith that things will just work out because it's freedom. That's what freedom is. That's what love is allowing the bird to fly, and that's what I've had to do because it's like you got to get real with yourself. Why would I want to stress myself out over someone who, you know, wants some space or wants to be alone, or whatever? Even if they do say some stuff that may sting and burn and not be cool, they talk about somebody else they're, you know, leaving you for or whatever. Like, even that, you learn that you won't get hurt in a relationship because what is truly meant for you will have your best and highest interests at hand. That's just common sense. That's why when we say nobody is you, nobody's me, that's our power, it's true. You got to keep it real. You see some of these old school couples who've been together for like 60, 80, 90 years, you know, they probably had to go through a lot of dating and a lot of different people before they finally connected. You know, I'm just giving that as an example. But I'm saying, like, the more and more you improve yourself, you realize, hey, I don't have it all figured out. I'm not all the way perfect. And the more and more I improve, the more better things I'm attracting into my life, you know? So I'm keeping an open slate and moving forward, honestly, in a happy way, because my expansion and concept of love is broadening, because it would be boring just to, like, settle and just be so restricted, caught up on just, you know, something so that's not really growing. You know what I'm saying? When there's so much more out there. And I guess that's what kind of is happening. It's been pacing me to the right flow and rhythm of love, of openness, of that type of stuff. You know what I mean? It's much different than what some people are rushing in a race to do or what they try to shove in your face on TV. Like, it is what you make it. It can be. Some people do polygamy, open relationships, monogamy, just single life, dating, whatever. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Marriages, there's a whole bunch of stuff. And like the point I'm making is that, like, uh just stay going, stay flowing. You know what I mean? Choose people that choose you, just like my mentor says. That's the best way to describe it. You don't gotta know how everything's supposed to pan out. But like if you have the simple things that, you know, your inner world connects with, like me, I know I'm not here to sell my soul. My soul is not for sale. So therefore, I don't need to, like, you know, sell my soul. I don't need to sell out. I don't need to strip or anything like that. I don't need to do porn or nothing like that. Yes, of course, I have intimate and romantic, you know, desires, and I'm a healthy man with warm blood and a lot of natural testosterone. But at the same time, like, I understand how much better it feels when I'm just sharing that with my intimate, you know, divine queen, woman in a relationship or whatever you want to call it. You know, Sometimes some people are here for a long time, some people are here for a short time. I'm saying regardless, y'all know what I mean. When we're living together, staying at each other's house a lot, building, getting deeper besides just going to the club and you only hook up overnight and that's it. Nah, besides, going to a party and you just want to hook up with someone and that's it. Nah, I'm talking about, I mean, you can do that. I'm just talking about like beyond that. You gotta, see, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. The more and more I'm able to, gather myself, maybe down the line, like I said in my vision, maybe it'll be a blessing in disguise and I will have a massive house for all the children I have, because I waited. And because I waited, the right, lovely angels choose me, because they see maybe their counterpart reflection or whatever is lost in the sauce, lost in the matrix, living a toxic, acidic lifestyle. And they may see, me and my consistency and my growth and development. and the fact that I'm for real and I'm the truth and I'm free, and I'm healthy and I have alkalinity. I'm alkaline and everything. Maybe they'll be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna, be grateful for this opportunity. We can have a family, eternal authenticity, and that's probably happening multiple times because I am a chosen one. So, anyways, that's how I'm feeling. Not no brothel, not no strip club, not no porn house or anything, but just like, an empire type of thing, a royal vibe. You know, we're all just in our own zone. At the same time, we have a family love type of bond. We're building maybe a brand or whatever, of clothing, of YouTube, of consultations, of coaching. Hey, of coaching, of a whole lot. Cool socks, yeah, of consultations, of all that stuff. So that's what I have in mind. Not to copy nobody else. This is all straight from my heart because honestly, I love women. I always will love women. And at the same time, I love to be a priority. And at the same time, I understand. I'm not controlling nobody, and nobody controls me. So like, I'm cool with the love. I'm not even worried about none of that stuff because we don't own anybody. You know what I mean? We don't own anybody, and that's liberating. You know, just allow them to choose us freely. To open up freely. That's the point I'm making. You don't want to fight for someone to tell them that they love you, or fight for someone to show that they love you. Let them do it freely if they truly do. You're gonna be wasting your energy just trying to force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. So that's the point I'm making. So, anyways, it's Eternal Authenticity, broadcasting live. Y'all have an amazing day. We're out here in nature.